Could embracing the idea that nothing matters actually improve your mindset and might free you to live a better, lighter, more extraordinary life? Or perhaps you need a compass that aligns with you authentically. If you ever found yourself questioning the meaning of life and what to do about it, you're not alone, and nothing is wrong with you for having these thoughts. People are wired differently and find fulfillment in different ways. For some of us, it's not that easy, and knowing how to go about this in a healthy way feels a bit like a paradox. But it's possible, and I'll share how on this channel. In this video, I'm going to break down the key differences between optimistic nihilism and existentialism in a way that's super easy to understand, so you can find what actually resonates with you. Just explanations that might help you understand yourself better. Two philosophies that have gained significant attention in recent years are optimistic nihilism and existentialism. Both of these concepts tackle the idea that life may not have an inherent meaning, but they approach it from different angles. Finding meaning in life can be tough, especially when it sometimes feels like the universe doesn't care about us, or so we tell ourselves. But many people struggle with this idea, and it's something that philosophers have been grappling with for centuries. We're all trying to find our way without instructions, no reason handed to us for being here, except for ideas imposed on us based on what we were told growing up. But in a meta-perspective feels like a strange guessing game, and perhaps we should for this reason give it a more open and enlightened benefit of the doubt. But getting to this point isn't a one-size-fits-all. In today's video, I'll be exploring two approaches with you. This is where optimistic nihilism and existentialism come in. They offer different perspectives on how to deal with this challenge. Optimistic nihilism is easily confused with existentialism. They start from the same place. Nothing has inherent meaning, but they go in completely opposite directions. Let's break it down. Optimistic nihilism is all about accepting the meaninglessness of the universe and celebrating the freedom and possibilities it offers. It acknowledges that the universe is indifferent and without inherent purpose, but instead of feeling hopeless, you can live lightly without the weight that things need to matter or existential burdens. It's not about a responsibility to create your own meaning, seeking purpose, or anything like that. But existentialism emphasizes individual responsibility to create meaning and finding our purpose. It focuses on the fact that we have complete freedom to choose our actions, and that this freedom can be both empowering and terrifying as we get to choose who we are. We have a responsibility to create our individual meaning and pursue self-discovery. Existentialism is burdened by this aspect. Now, optimistic nihilism is an idea that has become popular recently, and if you search it up, you'll notice there's a lot going on. While deep diving this contemporary philosophy, I notice the information doesn't agree with each other. If optimistic nihilism is not confused with absurdism, it's confused with existentialism. Or the argument of active nihilism or existential nihilism are brought in against the inaccurate definitions, and also miss the point of the discussion. Active nihilism and existential nihilism are blends trying to address the issue of nihilism. They are in response to the core of nihilism. Now that what it's not is out of the way, we can move forward to what it is. Since the term optimistic nihilism surfaced in the recent 20th century, it probably won't surprise you that I've traced this far. Is that it sparked on forums, then moved onwards to memes and YouTube videos. First, before we get to optimistic nihilism, we first need to understand the core of nihilism. The name itself comes from the Latin word nihil, meaning nothing. Nihilism is built on the belief that life has no inherent meaning, purpose, morality, or intrinsic values. It suggests these aspects are not objectively grounded. Nihilism is often associated with emotions that cultivate apathy or depressive-like states, but it's not necessarily pessimistic by definition. It's simply the stance that meaning and purpose are not woven into the fabric of the universe. The problem with traditional nihilism is that it often leaves people feeling paralyzed or hopeless, as if nothing is worth doing because nothing inherently matters. So even though nihilism means the rejection of meaning or value, it has gained a lot of misunderstanding. And although nihilism isn't pessimism by nature, let's be real, you won't stroll into a group of nihilists being all happy and not get scoffed at or accepted as a nihilist. So regardless of that one person that will get upset and comment, anyone can be happy in any philosophy. Yes, I get it. I'm not here to give an opinion on the origins or why people felt the need to express themselves as separate from the negative reputation nihilism has formed. And of course it has a bit of a twist. It's not just about, oh, one is happy and the other isn't. And they don't try and invalidate those trying to invalidate them and simply want to communicate how they are without wrong association. It's not difficult to understand nihilism isn't winning any awards for positivity. And I'm only here to bring forward others' experiences I noticed, which makes sense as to why optimistic nihilism emerged. Here is only one of the earlier traces I've found. Pause if you're curious and want to read. If you want to search for the entire post online, you can. But the point is this part of the post. It's ones like these that most likely lead to the presence that took root and formed. I doubt it started by one person, as some philosophy books had similar terms, creating influence from different directions until it brewed into optimistic nihilism. The other earlier traces I found are articles or videos describing existentialism or absurdism and calling it optimistic nihilism. Unfortunately, inaccurate dissemination is a problem here, as I already discussed. But needless to say, I won't be sharing those traces. Okay, so that was a lot, but I was asked to elaborate on those points. Let's recap and move forward. Optimistic nihilism isn't about a responsibility or focus to create your own meaning. It's unburdened with that. Otherwise, the philosophy would have emerged as optimistic existentialism or optimistic existential nihilism instead. We're at the stage where inaccurate dissemination became its own school of thought. But let's stick to the point. It's nihilism. Nihilism experienced through a different lens. Same philosophical position, no inherent meaning, but a different mindset. So where does optimistic nihilism go from here? It says, if nothing has meaning, we're free. You don't have to answer to anything including society values that make no sense or some grand purpose. But here's the crucial part. Optimistic nihilism doesn't say you should create meaning. It's freed from the responsibility of creating meaning and purpose altogether. Since there's no objective meaning or purpose weighing you down, you can feel liberated. Some people find this freeing, almost joyful. Optimistic nihilism is the realization that the lack of meaning in the world and universe can be liberating. Precisely because there is no inherent meaning in life, there is no cosmic plan forcing you to act a certain way. There might not be meaning, and that's liberating. And no, it's not a free pass to disrespect others' human rights or lose common sense. Now, what about existentialism? Existentialism is a philosophy that emerged through the works of Kierkegaard, Simone de Beauvoir, Sartre, Nietzsche, and more. Where nihilism says nothing means anything, existentialism accepts that there's no inherent meaning and insists that we must create our own anyway. This is not a light suggestion. It's a call to radical freedom and total personal responsibility. Sartre's line, "Existence precedes essence," captures it best. You exist first, and it's your actions that define who you are. There's no universal blueprint. That's tasteless to some, useful to others. You're responsible for the meaning you assign to life in this philosophy. It can create a lot of discomfort to confront who you want to be and take action as a form of responsibility. But it also means you're never stuck. You can always choose, define, and recreate your path and meaning. Let's sum it up. Optimistic nihilism says, there's no meaning, so I'm free to just be. Existentialism says, there's no meaning, so I must create who I am. One is relief. The other is responsibility. Both accept meaninglessness. Only one demands you do something about it and create your own meaning and purpose. The other is unburdened. In a future video, I'll explain how to blend these philosophies together, while also including a comparison table, concrete explanations, and practical applications. Thank you for watching, and tell me which philosophy resonates with you more, optimistic nihilism or existentialism. And if you're interested in exploring more ideas like these, check out my other video on absurdism linked in the description.